Hey guys, and welcome to another recent viewing video. And this time around, I got to watch the most recent Quentin Tarantino movie, The Hateful Eight. And my initial impressions of the movie are that it was good, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping for. As much as I love Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards, I guess I kind of expected this movie to continue. For myself, in my opinion, the momentum that Quentin Tarantino had with those last couple movies. Like I said, this wasn't a bad movie by any stretch. It was a lot of Quentin Tarantino's patented touches to it, the dialogue and the somewhat twisty and turny plot. But I don't know. Like I said, in the end, I really wanted a lot more, and I'm not necessarily saying that that's Tarantino's fault. I think it's more on me, more certain kinds of expectations. I think part of it is maybe I'm a little unsure as to why he chose to make another Western movie after his last one being a Western. Because for the most part, his track record with his movies is not to really tackle the same kind of genre like in a row, ever since he started to kind of go in that direction of making movies that pay homage to genres that he likes. I mean, I know that you had like Reservoir Dogs into Pulp Fiction, even a little ways into like Jackie Brown, that were kind of sort of somewhat similar genres, but they were grounded in reality. And I feel like the moment that he went in other directions with the Kill Bill movies, which sadly I still haven't seen, but I want to, and them kind of taking on like kung fu martial arts movies. He had his Western movies. He had his World War II movie with Inglourious Bastards, and then there was I can't even right off the top of my head remember Death Proof. That was the one that he did from the Grindhouse thing. So yeah, I don't know. I know I'm severely underqualified to really pick apart and take on a Tarantino movie, in terms of criticism and whatnot. I'm just, as a normal guy who has really enjoyed his movies, this one didn't quite reach the same level. I guess I'll just briefly talk about like basic synopsis of the film. A couple of bounty hunters end up together on a stagecoach transporting their bounties to a town called Red Rock. Only a blizzard is chasing down these guys as they ride along, and they have to stop at this place called Minnie's Haberdashery and hole up there until the storm is over. One of the bounty hunters, played by Samuel L. Jackson, has got 3 dead bounties to turn in, where the other is played by Kurt Russell, and he has a lady with him who he's transporting to Red Rock so that she can be hanged for her crimes. And he is very paranoid about somebody trying to free her or take her away from him so that they can collect the bounty for her. And sure as shit, when they get to the haberdashery, there's a lot of other people there, and there is definitely a sense that something is going to go down in terms of her and her being rescued or freed, etc., etc. There's a great big, it's an ensemble cast. I guess it's not a huge cast, because all in all, there's probably no more than 12 or 13 people total in this movie. By the time it gets to the haberdashery, that's pretty much where it finishes out, and then it doesn't go anywhere else. It's an almost 3-hour long movie. I will speak to that point. A friend of mine at work was like, when the movie ended and he noticed it had been almost 3 hours. He was surprised. You don't really feel like it's been 3 hours. That's the great thing that's I can say about Tarantino movies is they're so engaging that whether a scene is in one spot for any given length of time, and whether a scene is filled with nothing but dialogue and very little action of any kind, his style of writing and directing and the actors 99% of the time that he gets in his movies, they'll hold your attention and they'll capture your focus for that whole entire time, and you'll never just be like, oh god, this movie's dragging and dragging. That's why a couple of examples for me, like the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, is a longer movie, and it is a somewhat slow movie, but it kept my attention the whole time. A more recent example of one that didn't was Lincoln. I finally got a chance to watch that. I'd been wanting to watch that for a long time, and I just couldn't get into it. It was so slow. There was so little thing going on. And even though Daniel Day-Lewis is an amazing actor, he just couldn't carry that film for me. But with the Hateful Eight, and I guess part of it being, like I said, the cast, Samuel Jackson, Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, let's see, there's Bruce Dern, there was Michael Madsen, Tim Roth, who I think, my same friend who I talked about earlier, he had mentioned he was a little disappointed that Christoph Waltz wasn't in this movie. He'd been in the last two. He's an amazing actor and he really excels in Tarantino movies. He was surprised that he didn't show up for this movie, and I agree, but I think in a way he did in Tim Roth. There were some looks on Tim Roth's face and some posturing and whatnot. At certain points in the movie, I was like, well, there's Christoph Waltz. Tim Roth was playing that part. I don't know if Waltz was considered for the part that Tim Roth played, although, he was, well, it'd be spoilers, I guess, a little bit, so I'll warn you now. Spoilers. But Tim Roth eventually is exposed as a bad guy in the movie, one of many. Not sure that there's really any discernation between good and bad in this movie, but he was definitely not what he was cracked up to be initially. But Christoph Waltz, I don't know, I guess Waltz played a bad guy in Inglourious Basterds, but he seemed kind of like an almost lighthearted and lovable bad guy. That's a horrible thing to say considering the kind of role he was depicting in that movie. But he was a little bit more righteous and moral, I guess, in Django Unchained. So anyway, that doesn't really matter because he wasn't in this movie, but I really think that Tim Roth kind of acted his part like Christoph Waltz would have to an extent. So, anyway, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. But what I'm really curious about is I feel like I think Tarantino once said that he had a plan to make like 10 movies, and then he would wrap it up, like he would just hang it up for his career. So if that's true, there's 2 more movies that he's going to do. And I feel like he started to hit all these genres of movies that he really loves, the westerns and the martial arts movies, and sort of like the Pulp Fiction type of his initial movies, and the Grindhouse for Death Proof, and the gritty World War II-ish movie with Inglourious Basterds. So I'd love to know what he's going to do for these last 2 movies, if that really is his plan, is to hang it up after 2 more. But I guess that just remains to be seen. I will eagerly await them. I will always pick up whatever it is that he puts out. Eventually I will own all of his movies, and hopefully all on Blu-ray. But anyway, those are my thoughts on The Hateful Eight. And thanks, you guys, for watching, and we'll see you next time.